Welcome to the ExecMBA podcast. I'm your host, Brett Twitty, and you are listening to a new episode. On this episode of the podcast, I'm excited to share my recent conversation with Aman Dar. Aman recently completed the part-time MBA program back in December. I wanted to take some time to catch up with him to talk about his MBA journey, how he decided to pursue an MBA, what led him to Darden, his experience as a part-time MBA student, his advice for prospective students, and so much more. I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. And as always, if this conversation is helpful for you, please like this episode and subscribe to the ExecMBA podcast so you never miss an update. And remember, you can always check the episode description for links to Darden blogs, social channels, and more. And now, without further ado, here's my conversation with Aman Dar. Aman, welcome back to the podcast.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, repeat visitor. Second time on the podcast. Very exciting.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I always love talking to you. You've been a huge, support system for me throughout this whole program. And, you're the first person I met from Darden when I was applying, and it's good to close things out with you with one final interview. Hopefully I'll be here for
It's been so much fun talking with people here as they finish the program and looking back on their 28 or so months. And you talked with a few of your classmates who've also finished, and it's a great time for the program. We're recruiting the fourth class of students right now. We've got a couple more deadlines to go, but we also have, our first class of students, a number of people who are finishing, and we'll be down in Charlottesville in May to celebrate their graduation. That's an awesome thing.
Yeah, it's really exciting. The fourth class it's so amazing because we started out as the inaugural cohort, and now we've got a fourth class coming in. And I've spent a lot of time sort of helping out the career team with some of those leadership transitions. So it's really cool to see the mix of individuals who come through the program and the thought leadership and experience that they bring to the case method and the conversations that we have in class. It's an amazing experience.
Well, Aman, thank you for taking some time to come back on the podcast. For folks who haven't heard your first episode, tell us a little bit more about you and your background.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm in Northern Virginia, right outside Tyson's Corner. So not too far from the Roslyn, where all the classes take place for the professional degree seeking students. I have an undergraduate background in finance, and I also have a master's in finance. I currently work at Cognizant Technology Solutions, where I work on the M&A team, providing due diligence over the execution services to Fortune 500 companies. Before Cognizant, I was also at Booz Allen Hamilton, advising a lot of federal clients in energy and digital strategy. When the opportunity came up to sort of pursue the MBA at Darden, I sort of dropped everything and went for it. And now I'm on this side, finally graduated. So it was really interesting to go through all those years of education and then sort of cap it off with an MBA. So I have an interesting background, which is sort of focused on finance. So I feel like Darden really helped me broaden my horizons once I got there. And now that I'm on the other side, I'm sort of reaping the benefits of the past 3 years of case method.
I want to talk a little bit more about your decision to pursue an MBA. Is it something that you always knew you wanted to do?
So originally, I thought I wanted to deep dive into finance. I had my undergraduate degree in finance, which was sort of like touching on all of the aspects that you have in the realm of finance. But then I sort of did the master's in finance to do something more capital markets and engineering related. A lot of what we were doing was risk management. We also had a lot of corporate finance work in there as well. But what I realized was I needed sort of like the holistic business understanding. So other functional areas like operations, management, and marketing was what I was missing. So originally I thought I wanted to go deep into finance and capital markets, but then I realized that, as a consultant, there are so many other aspects of business that I don't understand. So I really decided to do an MBA at that point later in life. Once I finished my master's in finance and I realized I wanted that sort of holistic business experience, the difficulty was sort of finding a program that fit my current situation at that time. And I just got really lucky that the stars aligned and Darden started their part-time program in Roslyn, right by where I live. So a lot of luck, but I think it was definitely something that I definitely needed from a career aspect, and I wish I did it earlier, but I was lucky that it was available for me when I actually decided to pull the trigger.
Yeah, I'm curious about your comment about you wish you would have done it earlier. Why is that?
I feel like the benefits from just getting that case method, experience and, the exposure from so many different leaders in business school is so valuable to your career. I wish I had gotten it earlier and then sort of had that runway. I wish I didn't wait so long to get the MBA because I feel like I missed out on so many years where I could have taken advantage of the skills that I have now from doing it. And just the cohorts are so amazing as well. I wish I was able to experience a cohort 5 years ago and then also compare it to my cohort today and see how sort of like the people and the MBA curriculum has evolved over the years. I think what's really interesting is people think that the MBA has remained static from what it was 60 years ago, but working with the program team and sort of experiencing it firsthand, it's really interesting how dynamic the curriculum and sort of the program is and how open they are to sort of evolving over the years. So I always I thought I should have done it a while ago, but I feel like there's no wrong time to do it at the end of the day because the MBA is always catered to what the market is kind of demanding at that moment. So I thought it would be interesting to do an MBA earlier in my career from a career perspective, but I feel like there's really no wrong time to do it.
Curious what really appealed to you about Darden. What resonated with you about Darden's part-time program? Obviously, the location, but I'm sure there's some other things that jumped out to you.
The case method was huge to me. I definitely didn't want, so my master's program was very technical. A lot of it was kind of going off into a silo and doing modeling and then coming back and running your output by the professor and trying to understand where you could improve or taking exams or trying to understand really, rigorous and niche financial topics. But I think what I really enjoyed about the Darden MBA was the case method itself, and that sort of attracted me. I thought what I needed at this point of my career was to meet with other individuals who had robust work experience and were able to bring that experience to class. We could think about a problem that was presented to us and then have a discussion. I think there's a lot of value in sort of getting other people's opinions and seeing the other side of the coin. I think oftentimes, as just human beings, we have sort of biases that we're not aware about, and we sort of think in a narrow pattern. But I feel like the case method really helps to open up your horizons and sort of open up your thinking to understand different perspectives. And I think that was really important for me. So it was really awesome to sort of sit in a finance class next to an investment banker and get his perspective. And then also sit with somebody who might not have any finance background at all and get their perspective. And I think both viewpoints are extremely valuable at the end of the day, and they sort of contribute to your learning and sort of help you become a better manager at the end of the day because you're able to experience so many diverse forms of thought.
Do you have any prior experience with the case method before coming to Darden, or was it new to you?
So I have limited experience with the case method. Some of my masters in finance classes were trying to sort of teach via the case method. So we would have a case and then we would discuss it in class, and there would be some sort of, pre-work that goes into sort of understanding that case before you get to class. But it wasn't for every single class like we have it at Darden. It was for a couple select classes like cases in investment banking or cases in FP&A or things like that. But what's interesting about Darden is every single class is centered around the case method. And also, I feel like they have a very high standard to sort of deliver that case method teaching as well. I think all of the professors do a fantastic job of sort of driving the conversation within classes. And in every cohort, you have a mix of individuals. Some people are shy, some people are very proactive about participating, some people are on the fence and they don't know how their comments are going to be perceived. And I feel like the Darden professors have an exceptional sort of level of experience on driving those conversations and making sure those conversations sort of go to an endpoint that's worthwhile for the entire class. So, although I had experience with the case method in the past, I feel like the case method experience that I got at Darden was probably the most robust and well created case method experience I've ever had in my life.
It is a school that takes what happens in the classroom very, very seriously, and the faculty, the level of preparation that they engage in, how much work they do to get ready for those classes. Sometimes I think when people hear the case method and they hear it's discussion based, they think the faculty member just walks in there and just starts calling on people and that's it. No, no, no. They have a real teaching plan. They want to make sure by 15 minutes or at this point, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, et cetera. There's obviously teaching goals and things that they want to make sure come through in the class. And if you think about what that requires for a faculty member, that's way harder in terms of a teaching approach than lecture. A lecture, you're in control. You can just talk about what you want to talk about. But in case method, you're having to bring out the perspectives and lots of different comments and continue to move the conversation forward and help resolve anything that people aren't quite getting. And that takes a lot of skill and it takes a lot of hard work too.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like this school, Darden, has some of the best faculty in the world. We have a general MBA program. But we have faculty members who are some of the best researchers in their specific functional areas. And you can tell just the quality is incredible. A lot of these faculty members are publishing cutting edge research, but they're also spending a lot of time developing the cases that are going to be talked about in class. And if you think about it, you're absolutely right. The level of effort that goes into prepping for these classes, but also putting together these cases is phenomenal because there there's a teaching agenda at the end of the day, but then there's also so many different avenues you can approach their cases and sort of learn a teaching point as well. So I've seen professors deliver their cases in multiple different ways, and it just amazes me that whether they've written the case or not, they are complete experts in the subject matter area, and they're also able to sort of anticipate the questions they're going to get and drive the conversation in a specific direction that will accomplish the objectives of the class. So I think one of the things that I'm really lucky to have is being able to attend Darden and learn from professors who are some of the biggest thought leaders in their functional areas. I think that was really valuable to me. And when you combine it with the case method and a bunch of thoughtfully selected students in a program, I think it does wonders for growth and development and just learning about business in general.
You come to Darden, you're a new part-time student. I know it's a while ago, but what do you remember about that adjustment? You go from not being in school to being in school. You go from just working to working and taking a couple classes per quarter. You got evening weeknight commitments a couple times a week, sometimes in person, sometimes online. What was that adjustment like for you?
So I remember when I arrived on campus for my first residency, I was super anxious because I had a lot of work stuff going on. I needed to meet a lot of new people. I had a schedule in front of me for a week where we were just, doing a lot of activities together as a group, learning a lot of program personnel, and then also just trying to adjust as a Darden student and trying to anticipate what's going to come after residency and how am I going to manage the sort of the workload and the schedule. And as soon as I met the first initial faculty members and sort of the students in the class, I immediately got comfortable because what I realized is that this program is designed to be flexible and is designed to sort of fit within your schedule. And the purpose isn't to create some sort of chaos in your life where, okay, I have to allocate this time to the MBA and then I have to figure out how I can get my job done on a day-to-day basis. I think it was made really clear to us from the faculty that they'd be exceptionally supportive about our careers, not only throughout the program, but after the program as well when we're alumni. So I got a lot of reassurance from the professors, some of the faculty that support our program, and then also the students themselves. So initially, I was worried, how am I supposed to carry, a workload with commercial consulting, and then also, take on a part-time MBA at the same time. But luckily, I think the best piece of advice I got was just to over communicate everything. And that's what I've been doing since the beginning of the program, and it's worked well with me. If I have anything going on with my program that I need to attend to and I feel like would be worthwhile for my professional development, I just communicate that to my colleagues at work and most importantly, my wife. And I think that's worked best for me throughout the program itself. I think it's really tough for professional degree seeking students because oftentimes we think of it as a two-sided coin where you're juggling work and you're juggling school. But in reality, a lot of us are juggling three, four-sided coins where we're juggling our immediate family, extended family, work, school, and a bunch of other responsibilities that we might be involved in. We've got students who sit on advisory boards. We've got students who are really passionate about, giving back to the community and hobbies. And it's just been really amazing to be around my cohort, see what they do to sort of balance their schedules and actually, stay healthy and productive and active and, being able to accomplish all those things and being able to emulate that, I feel like was something that really paid dividends for me. So I think don't worry so much about looking introspectively. I think like if you reach out for support and you sort of look at the other people who are involved and going through the same thing as you, I think there's a lot you can learn and sort of incorporate and make it so you're successful in all aspects of your life as you're going through the program.
I was curious about what kind of schedule you settled into, because this is something we get asked a lot about from prospective students. How many hours per week and how do students do all these things? Because to your point, right, when you look at it from the outside, you're like, my life is already really full and busy. How do I find time for school? And it just happens, right? You figure it out. It's hard to explain to someone, but it's going to work out for the person. But they kind of have to get into it to know that and to really experience that. But what was your schedule? What was your approach to managing your coursework?
So with the coursework, I feel like one of the benefits of doing a professional degree program while you're working and that program being a uh, case study program, I think is it it lends itself well to being a working student at the time because a lot of the times what you're doing is you're reading through cases. So what I would do is I would just print my cases as soon as I found out that they were assigned to me. I would print them, and whenever I had time to sort of read through a case, I would do that. If I had to do any analysis, I would just block off some time specifically for schoolwork, and just get right to it. I work pretty heavily throughout the day. I start work typically at like 7:30, 8 a.m., and I don't get off until like 5, 6 o'clock, and then sometimes I'm logging in again in the evening. I travel a lot for work as well to client sites, but I think the workload has always been very manageable from the program. The professors have this understanding that we're working time, we work at the same time, and we need to maintain that balance without throwing off our lives completely. So they're very cognizant of the fact that we have a lot of things on our plate, and they assign work accordingly to that. Also, the program is also spaced out in such a way where nothing really becomes too overwhelming at one time. Sometimes you might have classes where you're going to be taking two technical classes in one quarter, which a lot of people are fearful of. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of it is very, very manageable. I would typically block off some time for the weekends and on non-class evenings to get some work done, especially if I needed to work in a PowerPoint or put together an Excel or do some analysis on a case. And then throughout the days, I would just be skimming through and reading the cases and making sure that I'm prepared for the class ahead. I think the most important thing is even if you don't like doing the quantitative work or if you don't like doing the spreadsheet work, no matter what background you come from, as long as you read the case and you're able to ask, pointed questions and try to understand it in class, that's really the objective that we're trying to get at here. It's like one person might be very quantitative focused, one person might be qualitative focused. They might approach the case and try to solve it completely different ways. And one person might be wrong, one person might be right, or both might be right. But the value really is in doing that preparation and coming to class and being able to discuss it amongst your peers. So if I'm a prospective student, I wouldn't worry too much about the work heading into the class. I would worry a bit more about, okay, am I prepared for the class and am I prepared to sort of offer my opinion on the case that was presented to me?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that sometimes people forget or maybe don't understand about the case method. Oftentimes, I think when we think about school, we get really stuck in sort of thinking about the right answer or knowing everything 100%. And even if you ask faculty here at Darden, what's your expectation in terms of students' preparation for class? And you probably hear something like, I want them to have read the case and to have struggled with the material and sort of engaged with it, worked with their learning team to kind of develop a deeper understanding of what's going on in the case, but probably arrive with somewhere with like a 60 to 70% understanding of what's going on, maybe 80%, somewhere in that range, with the idea that class is going to allow you to build out more understanding, maybe get closer to 100%, ask some good questions, clarify things that are unclear. But the nice thing about the case method too, Amana, I don't know if you feel this way, is that it gives you kind of an opportunity. If you've done all those things and you put in the time and the work, class is a chance for you to really like test whether you understand this, like to find out if you're actually getting this particular thing. Because class is about application. It's about all right, I think I know what's happening here. Let's get into it and have a discussion. You get to hear from your classmates too. But it's a way for you to really, really test your understanding and take a benchmark, so to speak.
No, I think you're totally right. I think the case method does a very good job of sort of mimicking the real world. So I'm a consultant, and a lot of what I do, I'm working on things throughout the day, but the real value is when you report the work stuff that you're working on or like do an executive analytical brief. And I think the case method is also set up in a way where if you do the preparation, the way to really test that is to brief your class and sort of have the conversation about the items presented in the case. So I definitely think that, it's a great validation once you get to class, to discuss it and see whether the approach that you took with the case was the right approach or whether it was the wrong approach. And there have been plenty of times I've gone into class and I thought I cracked the case, and once I got there, I did something totally wrong, and my answer was wrong. And it's worthwhile to have that case discussion and see how other people have approached it to sort of tweak your approach and sort of learn from that. So I think there's multiple sort of levels set up where you can sort of validate your approach to a case, and it involves having your learning team, conversation with professors. We have a Canvas site where we have conversations on the discussion board, and then a lot of cohorts, they also have chats set up where they're discussing the case throughout the week before class. So there's multiple discussions taking place throughout the week before we even head into the class to discuss the case. So it's been really interesting, sort of, taking all of those, getting to the class, and then discussing it as an entire group, and then seeing, okay, how can I improve or how can I learn this subject matter in a more efficient manner? And I think one of the big values is having those other students around you because everybody learns a different way, everybody has a different approach, and I'm really big on sort of emulating some of the things that the other students do in order to improve my career and also improve my knowledge of some of the subject matter. So I think the case environment and just sort of having that discussion is a really valuable aspect of it. It not only validates the work that you've put in, but also might guide you in the right direction if you're going down the wrong way. And I think comparing it to other programs I've been in, oftentimes you dive in on a rabbit hole and then the professor gives you the correct approach, but there's not much time for discussion, or it's just one-on-one discussion with the professor. Here at Darden, you're not only discussing with the professor, you're discussing with 70 other students in the class. And I think there's a lot of value to that.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the core curriculum and then electives. So when you think back on the first 18 months of the program, which is cohort-based core curriculum, working through the same core that our full-time and executive MBA students take, and you do those first 18 months again as a cohort. So the group of people you matriculated with, you're moving through those classes together. Do you have a favorite memory from that time in the program, Aman?
I think my favorite memory was just like the dinners we would have before um, class, or like meeting up with my cohort after class for drinks down the street. I think just the one huge benefit of an MBA is you're with a cohort of 70 to 80 people who are very driven in their own right when it comes to career and certain other life aspects. And just being able to work hard with them and then also being able to unwind with them, getting to know them and sort of understanding what's going on with their lives, what their experiences might be. I think the program does an excellent job of sort of bringing us together as students, not only in learning teams, but across learning teams. We have a bunch of activities that our social chairs put together for us to participate in. And although we're professional degree seeking students, there's a lot to get involved in on campus, not only at Roslyn, but also Charlottesville. So I think throughout the core curriculum, just taking advantage of some of those opportunities to meet with other students during dinner, meet with them after class, was something that I enjoyed a lot. Now being on the other side is something that I miss a lot as well. So I've been thinking a couple times of heading up to Roslyn and just meeting up with some students before their class just to get a piece of that nostalgia. But I think if I could go back, I would, spend a lot of time in the dining hall, just having those conversations and getting to know people, not to build my network, but just to, have that human interaction and just see that diversity of thought that Darden does a great job of putting together, and the diversity of people where you can sort of learn from them. Throughout the core curriculum, I was also fortunate to go down to Charlottesville quite a lot, and the diversity in there over there is just phenomenal. I met people from all over the globe, and just seeing how they approach some of their cases and some of the classes that they've had was a really eye-opening experience for me, and it was really fantastic just to see the different parts of the world that people come from and the different perspectives that they have.
All right, you get into electives. So the first 18 months, cohort-based core, great opportunity to build a relationship with your classmates as you go through those 9 quarters together. Then you hit the elective period, and the elective period is where you can choose how fast or slow you'd like to complete your remaining credits. There's 17 electives in the part-time MBA program, 25 and a half credits. So if you're thinking about this, there's 60 credits required for graduation. That's the number you're working towards. You do 34 and a half credits through the core, 25 and a half credits through electives. Aman, as you thought about the elective period, um, did you know that you wanted to finish in 28 months, that kind of 7 semester plan, or was that something that kind of occurred to you as you got into your coursework? How did you make that decision?
So I would not recommend prospective students choosing their electives the way I did. We have fantastic resources in the program, like Lauren Lopez Maurer, who helps us sort of understand what we need to get done in order to finish the program and what cadence we should sort of approach the program with, depending on our goals. Now, what I did was, as soon as elective offerings came open, I was just awestruck with the amount of classes and the breadth of classes that we were able to take. I was just picking whatever I could and making sure that it fit into my weekly schedule. And as a result of that, I was able to finish up very, very quickly. But I would say if students were sort of approaching electives, or if I was to approach electives again, I would have probably picked the classes a little bit more methodically, because once you get later into the program and you're getting close to finishing, you might end up in the same predicament as me, where I was finishing up in December but I saw a bunch of classes next spring that I wanted to take. So at that point, I was like, oh, I wish I slowed it down and I was able to take these classes later on in the program as well. But I think Darden just does a great job of sort of offering us the same sort of electives that full-time students are offered in Charlottesville. And they actually put in a lot of thought in what electives are going to be offered in Roslyn. Oftentimes, they're the most popular electives from the full-time students as well. And we have a lot of great professors who are teaching these classes also. So, there's no right or wrong choice in terms of how you construct your schedule. It's really up to you what you have going on in your life during that quarter or that week. And you can sort of choose accordingly. But I think the most difficult thing for me was trying to figure out, okay, what classes do I want to take and what classes do I not want to take? Because quite frankly, when electives opened up, I just wanted to sign up for all of them. So it took a while for me to figure out my schedule because I kept over enrolling.
Well, okay. So a buffet of sorts, more classes than you know what to do with. I think one of the cool things that's starting to happen, Amon, and it's certainly going to be the case going forward, is that like part-time MBA and executive MBA students, they can choose electives across programs. So part-time MBA students can choose to take executive MBA electives if they can make that schedule work. Vice versa, executive MBA students can take electives that are more on that part-time MBA schedule, that evening weeknight schedule, again if they can make that schedule work. So typical quarter, that would mean there's probably 13 to 15 electives offered. Now, admittedly, varying schedules, but offered that students can choose from. That is a lot of choice, to your point. Um, how many electives did you typically take per quarter? Because the standard pacing for the part-time MBA program through the core is 2 classes. So to accelerate, what we tell students is generally you're probably going to end up with maybe some quarters where you're taking 3 electives at a time. What did that look like for you?
So I think the most I took was like 4 electives over the summer, but I really made sure that during that time I had enough time to not only prepare for those classes, but also attend some of the case conversations and the classes that were in person and then also online. Typically, as you mentioned, most students stick to two classes a quarter, but if they want to accelerate it, they end up taking 3 classes sometimes. There's also an opportunity to take some classes that are specifically offered for program or club leadership, which might also accelerate your path to finishing up faster. But I think there's really no right or wrong answer on how many classes you take in a quarter. I've met students who have gone from part-time to full-time. I've met executive MBAs who have become part-time. I've met full-time students who become part-time students. So anything's available to you. And I think that's a really huge highlight for Darden in general, because as I was looking across some of the other programs that I could have applied to, one thing that Darden does a great job about is not differentiating between each of the programs. So it's like you get the same exact Darden case education, the same classes that you get in the full-time program, and they have no barriers. If you go to a lot of other schools, they have the huge barriers between some of their professional programs and their full-time programs. Darden does a great job of making us all feel welcome, making us all feel like we're a part of the school. And not only do they open up all the electives to us and allow that cross-pollination of thought between programs, but they also open up a lot of career opportunities to us as well. And I think some of the greatest experiences that I've had is, learning from an EMBA who I want to be in 5 years, who's probably like a CEO or a senior vice president, and sort of learning from their experiences in the case method, and then also learning from a full-time student who might not be working right now, but they're putting a ton of thought into cases that they feel very passionate about. So I think that diversity of thought is incredible, and Darden does a great job of not only providing that within our cohorts itself, but also providing that across cohorts. I was fortunate enough to go down to Charlottesville for a couple classes, take a class with Scott Beardsley for leadership and strategy, and because of that, I always feel like my class of 2025, it's not just 70 people, it's all the people across all 3 cohorts because I was able to take classes with all of them.
When you think back, favorite memory from the program? Probably hard to reduce 28 months down to a single moment, but is there something that jumps out to you?
All the residencies were so fantastic. I think like residency two, we had a ceremony over at a vineyard in Charlottesville. But I think one of my favorite memories was going to Yael's house for pizza. She invited our entire cohort over to her home, and it was just a testament to me of how fantastic the leadership is in the school. Yael has always been so plugged into the part-time program and the professional degree seeking students. She's given us her phone number. So she's always just a call away if we ever need anything. And I've never had that experience from any dean of any other university before, whether it be undergrad or any of the other graduate schools I've been to. I think she's done a great job of not only being a mentor to us, but also a friend. So just being able to go to her house, her welcoming us, and just spending time in the afternoon with students was just a great experience that I'll never forget. She has a beautiful house up in the mountains, and well, we just had a great time there. And it really cemented for me the thought that the Darden environment and the community isn't just, an MBA program at the end of the day. It is a community. It's like we're always going to stay connected because we went through this program together, whether we're faculty or whether we're students. And I feel like I was able to build relationships with a lot of faculty and a lot of other students that I wouldn't have been able to sort of establish at other programs because we had forward thinking and, loving individuals who opened their arms and sort of created the atmosphere for us to be able to do that. I feel like a lot of programs you might just be going to class all the time, and this program does a great job of sort of setting up events and opportunities outside of class where we can have other conversations aside from some of the cases, which brings us not only closer as a network of students and friends, but also allows us to think of a lot of things that we wouldn't have thought of at that time otherwise.
You mentioned it in passing, Aman, but you also got involved in a leadership capacity with your class. You want to talk a little bit more about that and kind of the inspiration for taking on a leadership role?
Yeah, since it was an inaugural cohort, I really felt strongly that, if we want to make something of this program, we want to really be the change that we want to see in the future. So I was really proactive about taking on leadership roles. I was really fortunate that my class elected me as the career vice president. So I was able to spend 3 years sort of supporting the career team and what initiatives we'll have for career climbers, career switchers, or anybody who has a specific career goal in mind. I think a lot of people who approach an MBA have some sort of exit in mind or some sort of career transition, and a lot of people just want to, improve their careers and just become a better manager and sort of progress across their organization. And I feel like, regardless of what background you're coming from, this program has a ton to offer. And it was just a fantastic experience overall. I think, just being able to participate with the students and offer them career advice or facilitate them towards an end goal was extremely fulfilling to me. And it was something that I enjoyed throughout the program. I spent time as the career VP, but also the consulting club president. And I think because of the work that we accomplished together as a career team, and then also working with some of the other students, my colleague Jason Carrier came on and joined the career team and helped out with the consulting club. Owner is also helping out today. And, together now that we meet up and we look back, we sort of look at the fruits of our labor and we see that, we facilitated this amount of people to get into consulting, or we help this person sort of climb the ladder in their career, or we help this person transition in their career. I think there are other goals that sort of help drive my passion for the program, and participating in those leadership positions really allowed me to do that and really, help me assimilate into the program even more. I feel like I'll always, have a home and sort of left a part of me at Darden, and it's really cool to see myself transition some of the career work to the next incoming class and then hearing about, what they're planning on doing with it. Even now, a lot of students reach out to me just to ask about some of the initiatives that we ran when we were working on the career team, and then them asking about, how they can evolve some of those initiatives further is kind of like a testament to, giving back and sort of watching something grow. So I feel like we were lucky enough to sort of plant the seeds, and now we've sort of created the environment for other people to step in and sort of grow it. So our goal at the end of the day is within after 10 years, we want to make sure that, we have a program that we're proud of and it's continuously just getting better and better. And the more students who come through this program and become successful, the more valuable it'll have for the entire Darden community.
Well, Aman, I got a couple more questions for you. Thank you for answering all the questions so far and sharing your experience. I wonder, how did your career goals evolve, and kind of what are you thinking about? Like, what's next for you now that you're post MBA here? So,
Yeah, so my career goals are kind of interesting. I feel like originally, prior to the MBA, I thought I wanted to just focus on finance and maybe become an investment banker, maybe go to a bank or do sales and trading or something like that. But I think the holistic business experience that I sort of got opened up my eyes and sort of allowed me to understand, okay, what do I really like to do and really what is my passion at the end of the day. Um, Throughout my career, I've been a consultant the whole time, and just being around other students and other career in different careers really helped me decide what I want to do in my life. So I realized that I really love strategy and I love M&A, and consulting is the space for me. So originally, I thought I would be a pretty heavy career switcher who might be switching industries, but then I realized like I really enjoy what I do, and I enjoy sort of being having that client advisor relationship. That at the end of the day, what I didn't need was a career change. What I needed was a toolkit to just advise my client even better. And I think the Darden MBA really provided me that, because now I have a toolkit where I can sort of explore different avenues with my client. I can sort of approach my day-to-day work like a case method and have those conversations and try to drive some of my strategic initiatives along the right path. And then it also equipped me with sort of the people and the leadership skills in order to manage my direct reports even better. So I think originally I came in thinking that I was going to switch my career and totally pivot away from consulting. But I think what the MBA did was sort of make me a better consultant and sort of help me realize that, I'm enjoying what I'm doing and I really want to continue down the path of strategy. And I think a lot of it was just meeting with a lot of leaders. I was able to meet with Frank Sands from Sands Capital, and a bunch of other leaders throughout the program as a part of some of these classes. Um, and I think, getting their perspective of how their careers evolved after 10 years, or meeting with other alumni and seeing, what they're doing post MBA, what you realize is a lot of students get hung up on the decision of what they're going to do immediately after. But, life is long and it's a marathon, and you can hold a bunch of careers throughout your life, and nothing is sort of set in stone. So I think just hearing from their perspectives and sort of hearing from their experience of what they did post MBA and what they're doing 10 years later. I think we were fortunate to get a lot of advice from alumni who guided us and helped us make that decision as well. And the career team does a great job of holding roundtable discussions so we can sort of understand what careers really interest us before we sort of pursue them. And I was lucky to, participate in a lot of those things that really do a lot of soul searching before I made a decision on what path I wanted to go down once I finally graduated. So originally I wanted to switch, but I got a toolkit just to become better. So it worked out at the end of the day.
I appreciate that. And you got a couple of years to kind of explore. And if you want to make a transition, third year is really the time when a lot of people will start applying to things. And I think one of the consistent things I've heard from part-time students when they talk about the career process is one, they like that they have time, kind of think about it. Secondarily, a lot can happen in roughly 3 years. Work-wise, life-wise, career goals might shift around, they might change, but you know what? You've got time. Standard pacing for this program is 33 months. You finished a little faster than that, Aman. You finished the fastest you can, 28 months, but still, that's a lot of time to kind of engage with the career team, do informational networking, talk with your classmates, go to all these events and explore. And that is, I think, one of the benefits of being in a working professional program, particularly one that's paced out, like the part-time MBA program, where you just got time to think and explore and reflect. Not something you always feel like you have a lot of time to do in your daily life. And you have great opportunities to do that either through, as you mentioned, some of the events, but also you have the professional advancement course, which kind of kicks everything off, the career course that students take in the January term between the fall and spring semester of their first year. I know for your class it was a little bit different in terms of its timing, but that's where it falls now, and that's a great opportunity to get credit for thinking about your career. So I'll ask one more question for you here. What advice? I mean, you've already shared a lot of advice here, but what advice would you share with our prospective students who are listening to this podcast and thinking about their own MBA journeys?
Uh, yeah, I would say, as you mentioned, you have a ton of time. So if you're feeling anxious about, the upcoming MBA journey, definitely don't feel anxious. There's a lot of people in this program who are there to support you. The faculty is there to support you. The support staff is there to support you. The other students are there to support you. So there's really nothing you should be worried about. Just be super excited and participate in as many things as you can. Definitely be the change that you want to be and sort of embrace the program. This program has been so open to pivoting based on what the students want and what feedback they give them. I've never seen a program that's so open to facilitating the students and their success. So definitely participate, take control of stuff. They want you to participate, they want you to get involved, they want you to drive initiatives, and they want students to be sort of the core engine that helps grow and sort of molds the program of the future. So they're always consistently listening to your needs and they want to be, you know, a piece of the puzzle in your life to make you the best person that you can be on, any goal that you aspire to achieve. So I would say just get involved. You have a ton of time to make decisions. I participated a lot in some of the recruiting activities down in Charlottesville, and I always thought I was lucky because I had that first year to sort of explore career opportunities before I even went down to recruit for stuff and meeting a lot of the full-time students as soon as they enter the program. If they want to pursue specific careers, they have to be on top of things and just be ready to pursue those careers in the first couple of months because they have to sort of capture some of those internships. Since we're working degree professional students, we have a lot more time and we have a lot of more time to sort of introspectively look at ourselves and go through the program and figure out what we like and what we want to do at the end of the day. So I would just say get involved in stuff, have as many conversations as you can, and don't be afraid because everybody here is there to support you and everybody wants to see you become successful. So just put your head down and work hard and, just talk to as many people as possible because this school definitely wants to see you win.
Can't think of a better place to stop. Aman, thank you for your time, and congratulations again. It's such an exciting year for our part-time MBA program. But you know what? More exciting than for the program, I'm excited for all of you who are finishing. What was, gosh, can you think back to 2022 when you were getting started in this program and enrolling? Seems like it was just yesterday, but I'm so happy for all of you who are finishing up here, and a lot of work has gone into this, and I can't wait to be in Charlottesville with y'all and to celebrate in May.
Yeah, we're definitely excited, and thank you so much for supporting us throughout this. As I mentioned, you were the first person I met when I started considering this program, and you were my only source of, information at the time. But I'm glad I went through, and I'm glad I got in. And looking back, it was a phenomenal experience. And 10 out of 10 times I would go through this program again. And I wish I was still in it, but all good things must come to an end at some point. So it was one of the three greatest years of my life. That's how I like to frame it.
Well, you're welcome back anytime, Aman. Hopefully, we'll see you around Sands Family Grounds in the coming months, and certainly down in Charlottesville for graduation. So, thank you again, and enjoy the spring.
Thank you so much, Brett. Thanks for having me.
And that was my conversation with Aman Dar, a member of our part-time MBA class of 2025. As always, if you have any comments, suggestions, requests, we're all ears. We can be reached at exec, that's EXEC, MBA at darden.virginia.edu. Until next time, stay safe, be well, and thanks for listening.